Clover Health has been staying in a pretty high $7 range for the last couple of days, and even going above $8 at a couple of points during the week. And when I take a look at a price movement like this, to me, it just sounds a little bit promising. To me, when I take a look at it, it seems that we found kind of a new floor for the price of the stock. I've seen, this stock go all the way down to $6.93 even, and that was on my very first video on this channel. But in the last couple of days, we've seen a couple of different movements that would indicate that we're kind of at those low levels, that bargain bin prices for the stock, and a great opportunity to get into Clover Health if you are not currently in the stock. This stock has seen great movements in the past couple of months, and especially after I made my first couple of videos on Clover Health, we saw it go to $28.85. The question is, can it do the same thing? And so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about the movement for the day, about the movement for the past couple of days. We're also going to take a look at some Ortex data and some other things as well. So come on and join me, and let's get right to it. So first, let's take a look at the price movement for the last couple of days. So as we can see, here we are on the 20th. Here we are on the 20th of September, and we saw it kind of go from the $8 price range from the previous day all the way down to $7.74. It tried to recover a little bit on the 21st, but it kept on sliding down to the lowest point of the entire week of $7.72. On the 22nd, it went up to a pretty good spot, $8.13, and then here we are today. Here we are today on Thursday, where we're taking a look at the price movement on this 1 minute chart. And there's a couple of things that I want to point out with this 1 minute chart. First, we opened up at $7.93. Again, very, very close to that $8 price point. And in fact, we did hit over $8 in the middle of the day when we reached 802. But if you are a day trader, some of you might be day traders and wondering, when should I get in? When should I get out? And maybe get in at an even lower point and save a little bit of money. Well, you can, right? There's been a bunch of opportunities this past week where you could have got a little bit of a good return on your investment. 3.11, 3.10, 3.11% today even, if you hit at the right time. Of course, it is pretty hard to do things like this, but this stock has had some pretty volatile movements. I would say if you're saying, hey, 3% is a pretty big deal, especially when you look at the S&P 500 and you're like, 10%, 11% or something like that is kind of what you're aiming for a pretty good year. So, you take a look at this and you're like, there's something going on that's pretty weird, right? Of course, we go over the VWAP for the day, the volume weighted average price, which shows that the stock is pretty bullish. But there's some other things that are happening right here. What are all these lines? And look, let's zoom right in. And as you can see, there's a bunch of lines that look exactly the same. Up, down, up, down, up, down, red. We're looking at these, candlesticks here. Red, green, red, green, and they are about the same height down the entire rest of the day, and pretty much starting at about 1:47 p.m. and pretty much continuing for the rest of the day until, let's say, we hit here right at the tail end of the day, which of course makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of movement at the tail end of the day. But what is that? Well, this thing that is happening is essentially called barcoding. It looks like a barcode. It looks like something that you scan for a receipt or a product when you go to the store and buy it, right? And so what does this mean? It pretty much was a pretty good indicator, let's say, that, this stock has found a pretty good floor and a pretty good way of stabilization, where it's like the bid and ask are pretty much the same throughout the last couple of hours of the day. So I think that, if you're going to get into a stock, especially if you're going to get into Clover Health, because I believe personally that it has a great opportunity down the road, I feel like the movements and the tail end of the today would be pretty indicative that today is a great day to get in. So, of course, we're going to take a look at the volume. The volume of the day is $15.94 million for the volume. And that's comparative to the average volume, which again is decreasing. We're seeing the average volume decreasing to 31.97 million. Okay. Think about that volume. 15 million is the average volume, and we're going to come back to that later because we're going to talk about days to cover and some interesting news surrounding days to cover. Of course, we have the order flow. Today, we had 0.79 million, more outflow than inflow. Still, not a whole lot, when you compare it to many other previous days for large-scale orders, but still a good amount of more outflow than inflow for the stock. For small-scale orders, we had more inflow than outflow, and for medium-scale orders, we did have more outflow than inflow as well. The last 2 days, though, we did have zero, so it pretty much was level for zero for inflow versus outflow for this stock. So, again, this app that I'm using, by the way, is Webull. And as you can see, there's the mobile app as well. And it shows you all the graphs, all the charts, stuff like that as well on there. And here's that order flow distribution I was talking about earlier. We got the options as well in it, the news of the stock as well, and of course the comment section. You can comment along and, hey, take a look at this. After a good barcoding day, I'm excited for Friday. So let's see what happens on Friday. I'm in the comment section often throughout the time as well. Of course, you have the analysis on the stock and the position cost distribution. Take a look at this real quick. Take a look at the position cost distribution for this stock, and you can see that the average cost is $16.53. And where are we? We are all the way down at $7.90. $7.90. So if you're saying, Sean, what is a great time to get in? I would say right now, or at least if you're in one of those higher averages, this would be, in my opinion, a great time to average down, especially with that bar coding activity that we've seen. There's a lot of other information on the stock as well, the company information and more, and this is in the Webull app. And also, of course, you can get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. That's what it says right here, and I use Webull as well. You get 2 free stocks. There's a link in the description, so make sure to sign up and deposit any amount in order to get those 2 free stocks, and I really do appreciate it as it helps the channel. But overall, that is really, really good to see, and especially with those fun barcoding movements of the day, I think that Friday may be a pretty good day. But let's continue, of course, talking about the stock. And next, we're going to go into the short interest percentage of the free float for the day. Right now, it is 14.48%. That's the current short interest percentage of free float. Again, building as the days progress. Right now, we had a 0.19%. Hey, I'll take it. I'll take, that short interest change for the day. But the big things to talk about, of course, is the days to cover. The days to cover is at 1.48%. And it feels like I'm repeating myself over here because that is, again, another increase in the amount of days to cover for this stock. We've had this kind of trend since basically September 3rd, where the days to cover has been increasing in the last, couple of days, 4 days. It went from 1.32 all the way to 1.65 on the 22nd, and here we are on the 24th. So again, still a pretty high days to cover, especially when you compare it over to the previous days. And again, kind of like when we shot up to $28.85, the days to cover did increase maybe about, 2 to 3 months ahead of that. So May, June, at the very end of very beginning of June, and at the very middle of March there, March 22nd, we started to see the days to cover climb, and that was about March, April, May, so about 2 months before we saw the stock price go up dramatically. So maybe that is something to consider for this, and for, if you think that this again has the potential to gamma squeeze, has the potential to short squeeze again, because I think maybe it does. And that is what I am betting my money on, right? But also, it's a great company, right? You can't forget that when you invest in a company, in the stock of a company, right, you are believing in the, basically the ability for the company to do well. And I covered that in my previous videos. And I'm definitely here, of course, to see the company grow and the company to succeed as well, especially with the Clover Assistant. So, that is great information to see, of course. And if you like this video so far, please smash that like button for me. It really does help. Also, subscribe and ring the bell so you can get notifications on my upcoming videos. So next, we're going to take a look at the option calls for this coming, or tomorrow, really Friday, right? So as we can see, we got a lot in the money, but we are right outside. We are right outside the cutoff, essentially, for out of the money. Right now, $8 is that little cutoff that we see 12,000 open interest, 15,000 over in open interest for $8.50, and 12,000 as well for $9. So, that's a big move. If we see a big move like that on Friday, that would be huge to get to that $9 range, but it's going to be pretty long ride to get there. So again, I definitely recommend, hey, get some shares, options, it can be a risky play. You could lose a lot of money doing options, but you can also gain a lot of money doing options if you hit the right time, the right price at the right time. That is kind of the fun benefit behind that. So definitely cool to see, but I think that you keep that in mind. And you also think of the maximum pain as well for the week, which is right at that $8 level, right? Will we be able to go over that $8 price? That's going to be the battle of the week. Next, we're going to take a look at Fintel and see the short shares availability. Right now, we have 1.7. It's a little bit cut off there, but it's 1.7 short shares available. That's in comparison to the to earlier in the day on the 23rd, where it was 800,000. So it has been increasing a little bit, but basically staying kind of where it was for the last couple of days in the week, where it's under 2 million. The short borrow fee rate did decrease to 0.89%, and of course, we take a look at the dark pool data as well. And right now, the dark pool, 56.81%. That's well above the 30-day average for dark pool volume. So that is, of course, kind of interesting to see when you have that much volume in the dark pool, more than the regular day, and you take it, of course, in consideration with the barcoding movements as well. And you're just like, okay, I think that we potentially could see some big movements happening very, very soon. So next, we're going to take a look, of course, at Ape Wisdoms to see the trending stocks on Reddit in the past 24 hours. And as you can see, of course, we have S&P 500. We have a bunch of other stocks: BlackBerry, Smile Direct Club, Canoe, GameStop, Context Logic, Nike, Palantir, AMC, Kirkland's, Tesla, Facebook, Alibaba, Sophie, Tilray, and then finally Clover Health Investments sitting at number 16. So it was a pretty big drop, down 9 spots, kind of fallen under people's radar for this, but hopefully we get more talk about this great stock that we are heavily invested in. There's 79 mentions, 233 upvotes. So of course, make sure to get on all of these subreddits. Make sure to share your love for Clover Health as well. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the meme of the day. I love this one. CLOV newbies, bruh. CLOV OGs, bruh. So again, I actually view it differently from what they're saying, but I still think it's hilarious because at the end of the day, when I see the stock price being this low, to me, that's just like, hey, this is just a great opportunity to average down, because $10 easily is where this stock should be at within 1 year, I think. And that's really what I think the price target should at least be, the very rock bottom for this. But of course, $15 to $25 is where I'm actually expecting this to be very, very soon as well. But hopefully going above 25, I want to see this thing soar just like it deserves to. So overall, really excited, really pumped for Friday's movements and for the rest of the week as well. And as always, I hope you have a happy trading day tomorrow. You lucky people. Take care. Bye-bye.